Hello everyone and welcome to this video from the Best of CET series. Today we are going to look at some questions from the topic series. So let's get started. So we have 4 questions and the ideal time to solve these 4 questions is 4 minutes. So what you can do is pause the video, take 4 minutes, try to solve them and then come back to the video.
If you like our content and want to experience the IMS pedagogy, you can join the IMS Zero Fee Prep programs that will give you access to concept videos, sectionals, full-length tests and more for free. You may click on the I button or on the link in the description box below to access the same. Happy learning!
So I hope you enjoyed these questions. Now let's look at the first one. While solving series questions, you have to think as to the numbers that are given to you, how are they increasing and what could be the relations between these numbers. So when I look at this question, the first thing that comes to my mind is when I see 7 and that becomes 25, that it is roughly becoming 3 times. 25 becoming 105, roughly becoming 4 times, and 105 becoming 531, again roughly 5 times. So could there be something which is related to this? So let's try to find that out. So we have 7, 25, 105 and 531. So if I'm moving from 7 to 25, right, the first thing that I'm doing is into 3 and then I'm adding 4 to that, 7 into 3, 21 plus 4, 25. While going from 25 to 105, you're doing into 4 plus 5. So 25 into 400 plus 5, 105. Then 105 into 5, which is 525 plus 6, that is giving you 531. So I can clearly see a trend, right? Into 3 plus 4, into 4 plus 5, into 5 plus 6. Simply the next thing is going to be into 6 plus 7, right? So 531 into 6 is going to be, so let's calculate that here. So we are going to get 6 into 1, 6, 6 into 3, 18, carry 1, 30 plus 1, 31 and 3186 plus 7. That's going to be your answer and that is going to be 3193. So that is how you're going to get 3193 as the answer for this question. So let's look at the next one. Now here you had 3, 15, 35, 63 and 99. And generally when you see 3 and 15, the first thing that comes to your mind is into 5. But then that logic has to become consistent somewhere. Then only you can call it a series question. So if I was thinking of 3 into 15, 3 into 5 equal to 15 or 15 into something equal to 35, it's not really making sense. So we'll have to see what is it that we can do with this question or with these numbers that are given to us to find a trend. So I can see 15. The first thought, as we discussed, 3 into 5. When I see 35, clearly again it is 5 into 7. So could there be something related to odd numbers? Product of odd numbers, 3 into 5 is 15, 5 into 7 is 35. What about 63? That's 7 into 9. What about 99? That is 9 into 11. Which obviously means now I can write 3 as 1 into 3 as well. So this is nothing but product of consecutive odd numbers. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 and so on. If I pick 2 consecutive odd and multiply them, I am going to get the term from this particular series. So what will be the next number? It is going to be 11 into 13 if we continue the series. So 11 into 13 is 143 and that is going to be your answer for this question. So now from series we move to questions which is odd one out in series. So here you have to find an odd term in the series which is given to you. Please note that while you are solving these kind of questions in the exam, the first term itself or the last term itself could also be wrong. So just be a little careful, don't assume them to be the right terms. Now let's try to see what is the logic here. So we are starting with 6 which becomes 15, then 35, 77, 145, 221 and then we have 323. Now the previous question that we solved had some similar numbers if you recall. We had 15 and we had 35 there as well. So 15 was 3 into 5, 35 was 5 into 7, 77 was 7 into 11, right? So we are able to find what the pattern is roughly, but now we didn't have 6 back then, we had 3 which was 1 into 3. For this question, you can think of 6 as 2 into 3. Now is there a pattern here that you can identify? Absolutely, these are prime numbers. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, all of these are prime numbers. So this particular sequence is essentially product of 2 consecutive prime numbers. So if I move to the next one, it is supposed to be 11 into 3. If we continue the pattern, it will be 13 into 17. If you further continue the pattern, it will be 17 into 19. Now I just need to check whether the numbers that they have given in the question are matching with the pattern that we have identified. Now 11 into 13 is how much? 143. Clearly we see that there is a mistake there. So 145 is going to be our answer. You don't really have to check for subsequent terms, but even if you do, you will find them that they are correct. So the answer for this question is 145. It should have been 143. The last question was definitely challenging. So let's have a look at the solution. You have 3, 8, 24, 44, 120, 168, 288. Some of the numbers are divisible by 3, some of them are not. So it looks a little challenging. But let's try to see if there is one or maybe two ways to answer this question. So the first thing is I can see that these numbers are close to perfect squares, right? When I see 120 or 168 or 288, I can clearly see that they are close to square numbers. You look at 3, which can be written as 4 minus 1. You look at 8, which can be written as 9 minus 1, and so on. You can of course look at 120 and write it as 121 minus 1. So let me see if I can do it for all the numbers. 24 can be written as 25 minus 1. So again a perfect square minus 1. 44 if you think of, will you be able to write this as a perfect square minus 1? Not really. 168 is 169 minus 1, which is nothing but 13 square minus 1. And 288 is 289 minus 1. So all of these numbers are actually a perfect square minus 1. So if I look at this, this is 11 square minus 1, 13 square minus 1, 17 square minus 1. And while choosing these numbers, they have followed a pattern as well, which is prime numbers. So if you see, you had 2 square, 3 square, 5 square, but the base that they have taken, 2, 3, 5, these are prime numbers. So the next thing would have been 7 square minus 1. So the actual answer that you should have had here is 48, the correct number. But since you don't have it, you're going to get your answer as 44. Now, at the beginning of the solution of this, I mentioned that you can solve it in one more way. Because it is some square minus 1. And if you think of a pattern which looks like n square minus 1, you should be able to write this as n plus 1 into n minus 1. So you have to think that all these numbers can be represented by product of two numbers that are separated by a number. Okay, so these are alternate numbers is how you can call them. For example, 8 can be written as product of 2 and 4, right? 3 can be written as product of 1 and 3. And they are alternate numbers. You have 1, after that you have 2, after that you have 3, you are skipping 2 in between. So these are alternate numbers. 24 can be written as 4 into 6. 120 can be written as 10 into 12. Right? So all the rest of the numbers also you will be able to write this in manner. But 44 you won't be able to write it, because what is 44? 4 into 11, 22 into 2. None of these are alternate numbers. So that could have been another way to solve this question. We hope you enjoyed these 4 questions that we discussed, and in case you have not subscribed to the channel, do it immediately. See you in the next one.